Okay, so the sun is blinding and there's a truck. Take two. It's the middle of January and it's the perfect time to be pruning my overgrown Fuji apple tree. The tools of the trade for doing this is a freshly sharpened set of pruning shears. These are a set of Fiskars. And then I have kind of a generic folding hand saw that I stole from my son, but it works really, really good. It's very sharp, and sharp is key. So where do you start when you're doing an overgrown pruning job on an apple tree? Well, that's a great question. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus down here on these suckers, on these old sprouts that are coming out of the base, and then slowly working my way up the middle, because what my plan is, instead of having a main stem that comes up and the laterals off of that, I'm basically going to have a chalice or a bowl, and that way the entire middle is opened up to airflow. Similar to like a peach tree. When I learned how to prune my peach tree, I heard the general rule is that you want to be able to take a cat and throw it through the center of the tree and without it hitting a branch. And so we're going to try something kind of similar but not so extreme with this particular tree. Also, something to keep in mind is what I have been seeing online and reading when it comes to pruning and how much you should prune. And right, this is a big deal because it's so overgrown. The general rule is about 1/3 of a tree. You're going to see that over and over again. If you didn't hear it in this video, you're going to hear it in the next video that you watch. So how in the world am I going to get away with only pruning 1/3 of a tree when it needs it so bad? I'm going to focus on the essentials, because rehabilitating a tree it's a process that takes years, not an hour. And so I'm going to start from the middle, and I'm going to get the most egregious branches out of the way, and then you're going to see me kind of work around and continually look at the tree to see how it's coming. So let's go. Come down here with me and you'll see right here that my goats, you can kind of see them right over there, they got out, and boy do goats love fruit trees. Those little stinkers. What else do we got over here? Oh yeah, they took a few really good whacks right there of this main stem, and geez, they almost girdled it. I was really glad they didn't get around the other side. Girdling is when they completely take the bark out from all the way around the limb. Goats are awesome. I found a couple way low. I hit those just with pruning shears. I'm gonna start low and then just work our way up. I'm gonna show you as little of my butt as possible on this part right here. Okay, a buttless scene now. You're welcome. Okay, I see this one right here is going straight up the middle. And so I definitely know I'm not going to want that one. Now it looks, if we go around to the other side, I'm going to be able to get up here in the middle and work in a circle. So come on. Also, something else you're going to want to think about is taking a look, maybe even first, at some of your really big branches, because if there are some bigger branches that need to be trimmed out of there, it's better that you do that first, so you're not, pruning an entire branch that you're eventually going to use your saw on and cut down. It's just kind of a common sense thing, but I get so excited about finding branches that are crossed and clipping those out, because it just like feels good, that I end up doing twice as much work as I should. So let's do that. Let's take a look at some of these bigger ones that need to get cut. All right, so I'm here in the tree looking around for some of the big branches that need to get cut. And I already found one that we can hack off with the saw and save us the time of not trimming everything on it and then eventually hacking it down. And it's this one right here. We got one that's coming up. It's like in the middle of the tree. This sucker right here goes sky high. There's no way I'm going to be able to harvest any apples up there. So anything that ends up coming up there, I mean, I'm gonna waste anyway. So let's not have the tree put all the energy into that. Let's go ahead and hack that off. You're gonna see right here that there is, I think it's called a crown, but it's the seam between the branch and the main stem. That seam, I heard once, you don't want to cut into that seam. You want to cut not in here, but just on the outside of that seam. And I think it's because it helps it heal. So let's cut just on that side. Go slow to start with, make sure our line is good. I'm going to have to support that limb, because what you don't want is for this to fall down and then peel all of the bark off of that. All right, you can see I cut that off, and I gotta lift this sucker straight up and out and give it a throw. Oh, that didn't work. Now, you see, now that is a big branch that I could have done a lot of work on before finally cutting that stem. That right there, that helped a lot. If we come a little closer, you're gonna see this branch right here. Now this branch, you'll see all of the limbs are going out that way, except for this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Like all the big ones on here, they all need to go because they're just shooting up into the middle of the tree. Holy cow, that really opened it up. That's nice. Now look at this in here. Isn't that pretty? It's like you could just imagine a little squirrel running up here and perching itself right here. This is nice and open. You see, I'm in the middle of the tree. Now I got canopy. And I mean, you can definitely tell with the way the GoPro is just how open this middle is now. That provided for a whole lot of air circulation. So you'll see we still got a bunch of branches coming in on us, and that's going to be no good. So we're going to get rid of those. You can see this great example of a branch from over here that's coming around and then crossing into this one. And it's kind of hard to tell right here, but yeah, right here. But you can see the rub marks that it's causing right there. When these branches are rubbing up against each other, that's just an opportunity for to open up and expose the flesh to get an infection or a disease, just like you or I would do. So this right here, I don't know, I think you can see it from here. This is a perfect example of a cross, you know, a branch that's coming to cross all of the other branches over it. So since this limb is coming out this general direction and there's a nice space right here, we want it to continue that way. We don't want it to continue over here. So any of those crossed pieces, go ahead and snip those babies off. I'm gonna just go ahead and hit all these things. You see that one is just going straight up into the sky. No need for that. No need for that one. Even see this little guy right here? It's gonna turn into a big guy. I'm putting so much pressure on this. I had stabbed myself just a little while ago, and the impact from me hitting the clippers is like flicking blood on my wrist. Getting it all over my sweatshirt. I think I'm gonna go get a Band-Aid on. See this thing right here? It's so tight. There's probably an apple that's gonna wanna grow right there, but not this year. This little twig right here coming off this main stem, it's growing inward to the middle of the tree, because that's where I'm at, and here's the middle of the tree, and this is where I'm at. We don't want anything growing in towards the middle. So things like that we're gonna hack. Okay, we've opened up the middle of the tree and I got a lot of those branches that were crossed. So what do we do now? Well, we're gonna address all these really tall leaders, these ones that are poking sky high. And how do we prune something like that? Well, what I do is I take a look, and as long as it's a leader that I want to maintain, then I will grab it. I'll use my hand as a gauge for height, because I'm not on a ladder here. I want stuff as close to hand pickable as possible. And I'll grab this down, and I've marked a bud that is going the right direction. And I've marked it, and I'm like, all right, I want it to go that direction. So I'm gonna clip it at a 45-degree angle from above where that bud is. I'll also take a look at the branch. Now where there are buds, there will be branches. And so now is a great time to go, and anything that is pointing straight up, you want to go ahead and just clip those things off. Anything that might be going in a direction that you don't want it to go ahead and clip those things off. That's just that much energy that you're saving the tree as far as growing in a direction that you don't want it to grow, and then you're going to have to prune it again the next year or in 5 years when you remember to prune your tree again. So I'm gonna get going on the rest of these leaders, and then we're gonna step back and take a look at our handiwork, make sure that the tree is like somewhat level and not at a total right angle. Let's do it.